Hey YouTube, I just wanted to let you know that the following video you are about to watch is actually a part of the Creatrix live series happening over on Instagram. We started this 5-week-long live series in celebration of the next cohort of my signature group coaching program known as Embodied Creatrix. This program is 12 weeks long. It is for women visionaries who are ready to live a soul-aligned life that turns them on so that they can make the impact they know they're here to create. So it starts with getting clear on our values and vision, doing the mindset work to own our desires, doing the mindset work to show up for our dreams, right? We do all of this through, again, deep mindset, pleasure, clarity, strategy, and execution. So this is deep work that happens over a 3-month-long period in community, in a container with other driven visionary women. And so in celebration of this next iteration of my program starting August 30th, I wanted to give people sort of a sneak peek of the kind of work that we do in the full program, give everyone a feel for the kind of content that we unpack therein. And so that's why we're doing this 5-week-long live series. So we're dropping juicy, delicious, actionable content. So whether you're interested in the full program or not, you will get served. You will find tools and information to support you in owning your desires and showing up for your dreams and executing on your vision. And there's going to be plenty of opportunities for winning Creatrix related prizes and giveaways. So if you want to participate live, I highly recommend you come find us on Instagram. All the relevant links to learn about the program, to find me on Instagram and participate live is down below, and I can't wait to see you there. Today, again, we are talking about the #1 question to boost your mind-body connection and your personal creation process so that you can start to sort of see and orient to the magic that you are as a soul embodied, as an energetic being that is constantly, non-stop processing energy, right? You are a system of consciousness, mind, body, spirit, emotions, feels, thoughts, like all of these things are not separate parts and pieces. They are all interconnected. They are all, integrated and woven together. And so what I see a lot is when it comes to creating a life we love or serving a vision or manifesting or consciously creating something, we lose sight of where we have control and agency. And to be quite frank, we do not have control over timing and hows all the time, right? We can, to the best of our ability, take action, execute on our plans, practice that personhood cultivation of managing and navigating our energy so that we can show up and serve the vision and can take consistent action and execute, right? But really, timing and the hows of how everything actually comes together and lands is out of our control. And that is part of our sort of creation and manifestation process, is surrendering that piece to the universe, right? That's how we co-create with the universe. And so when things do start to maybe not pan out in the exact way that we wanted when it comes to conscious creation and manifestation and serving our vision, a lot of times it's timing, right? We want things now. And so when they don't start to manifest as quickly as we want, we go, oh, it isn't working. It isn't working. I'm doing it wrong, right? We start to make ourselves wrong for that. I've picked the wrong action plan. This is absolutely the wrong strategy. I'm on the wrong path, right? We start that internal dialogue process. When really, most of the time, I would say, there are exceptions, but most of the time, it really isn't the plan of action. It isn't the strategy. It isn't that it isn't working, right? It's just that we're not seeing the results in the timeline that we wanted or expected, and so now we're feeling all some kind of way about it. And so in those moments, what tends to happen is we start to solve for the wrong thing, right? And we talked about this a little bit last week, I believe. So we start to, we get back into, we cease all action and we go back into researching, okay, but what is the perfect plan that's going to make it all work, right? What is the perfect path or the perfect strategy? And what am I doing wrong and how can I fix it, right? When really we would be best served in that experience if we treated our own energy, right? Because we don't really have control over the hows and the timing. It's remembering in that moment our agency, where our agency and our influence really lies, and it's in our energy management. It's in our energy navigation. It's in understanding our system of consciousness as mind, body, spirit, emotions, feels, how all that's working together, and learning how to work with that energy processing that's always happening, so that we can stay committed, continue to show up, and serve the vision long term, right? Learn how to sit with the discomfort of feeling like it isn't working, learning how to sit in that discomfort and choose to trust anyway, right? Learning how to sit in the discomfort of failure even sometimes, and learning how to process through that and trust that that's still serving us. There's new like failure creates a lot of information and data that then allows us to make more informed decisions next time, right? So it really is always working. It just sometimes doesn't feel like that. So how can we learn to navigate and manage our energy better so that we can continue to stay committed and consistent? Because it really is consistency that moves the needle on our vision and creating a life we love. It is the consistency, it's the new habits and patterns that are formed in the way we show up, right? And the way we take action and execute. The consistency there is what is going to move the needle. But again, what happens is when we are feeling some kind of way, we tend to burn it all down and right? We're like, it's not working. We burn it all down. And then we have to start all over from scratch, right? Or, when it's not working or we're feeling some kind of way about it not working, we just totally abandon the goals. And so this is kind of my cycle, is I'm like going hard, and then it's just, the timing isn't what I wanted it to be, so I just abandon. Right? I don't necessarily burn it all down, but I totally ghost, right? I ghost my goals. And then I get motivated again, and I'm going, and then I ghost again, right? And that's just, again, that's not the consistency piece that we're looking for that really moves the needle. So it is just, the things are still meant for you. Like, the vision's still there. The dreams matter. They're there, but we're just making it a longer process when we're cycling that way, when we're ghosting and showing up and ghosting and showing up, Some of us might feel like we make this is kind of another version of ghosting, where we're going hard and we make progress, but then we, something great happens, but then we don't know how to hold it. And so then we feel like we take 2 steps back. We kind of self-sabotage, right? All of this is really, like I said, there's exceptions to everything, but most of the time this isn't because we picked the wrong action plan or we took the wrong action. It's all our mindset and our feeling state. It's all our energy management, right? And so this is really what we do in the Embodied Creatrix program, is that personhood cultivation of learning how to manage that piece where we really have agency, so that we can show up consistently and serve the vision and reach those long-term goals, right? Learn how to sit in the discomfort of short-term stuff so that we can continue to show up for the long-term stuff, right? So does that feel like, can you identify with any of those scenarios like me, where you abandon goals, you ghost when it gets hard or when it gets uncomfortable? Or are you someone who feels like you make progress and then take 2 steps back because you self-sabotage because you don't know how to hold it? Or are you someone who has burnt it all down before because you're like, it's not working? And then you have to start all over from scratch, right? We don't want to do that, right? Because that's, again, it's just creating, it's a sort of a form of procrastination. It's just creating more time in between us and the goal being met. Because consistency is really the piece that we want. That's how we move the needle on anchoring our dreams into reality and creating new habits, right? So, especially for, I just want to say this real quick. We're going to talk about the body and some of our sensing needs and how to really start to map how our energy with regard to mindset, thoughts, and our feels and our emotional states, those are, I forgot to give you guys a little FYI. I am currently dog sitting, and I guarantee there will be more dog barks today. But I'll try. It's okay, Whitey. We'll try to keep it to a minimum, but the dogs are out and about. Who let the dogs out? Okay. What was I saying? Yeah, so for my spiritual people or people who come from wellness spaces, I personally, in my experience, feel like we spend so much time talking about mind and consciousness and the power of mind, but it doesn't always translate into some of our kind of physical embodied experiences. And I think this is a really important thing that isn't always addressed in these spaces, because your brain is your body and your body is like a brain, okay? It's all connected. It's a system of consciousness, right? And so you probably know that, like, when you start to think unhelpful thoughts or undesirable thoughts, then your emotions start to click in, right? Or sometimes you might be feeling a certain way, and then that produces thoughts aligned with that feeling, right? So we know that, like, our thoughts and our feels are totally connected. It isn't a one-way street. It is a two-way street. You think a couple negative, unhelpful thoughts, and then you start to feel it, or you for some reason something happened and you feel a certain way, and now the thoughts are spiraling in association with that feeling, right? We know those things are connected, but I think, again, in these kind of spiritual and energetic and metaphysical and even like wellness spaces, we kind of stop there, and we don't necessarily ask the question of, like, how does that non-physical thoughts and feelings kind of energy translate into very physical, visceral, like real embodied experiences? Because that's part of it. Like, that's part of our whole system of consciousness, and that's part of how we process energy, right? That sort of non-physical kind of etheric stuff very really very viscerally, like, it literally translates into like physical senses and body language and all of these things, right? And so when we can start to kind of include that and recognize that our body has sensing needs that serve our thoughts and serve our emotions, we kind of start to treat it as a whole system, kind of more holistically than just focusing on our mindset. We can, like, if you think of mind, body, spirit, let's say like mind, emotions, and body, again, all of it being connected. If we can serve all parts of the system when possible, right? We can go, okay, what does my mindset need right now? What does my feeling state need right now? And what does my body need right now? So that I can actually support all of those pieces within the system so that they can process more efficiently or create synergy in their processing, right? Or sometimes maybe we just address the one that is most readily available to us, but because it's all connected, and we're starting to see how it's all connected and mapping in our own personal experience what really works for our kind of system connection, we know that serving one really is going to influence the rest of the system, right? So, long story short, what we're talking about today is energy work. I think sometimes we think of energy work as being this, again, very non-physical, non-tangible kind of thing, but learning how to map how your energy literally translates into your body as sensing and as body language is part of your energy work. It's part of your energy management and navigation, okay? So again, the whole reason we want to do this is so that we can cultivate better energy navigation and management skills so that we can create consistency in our creation processes and in showing up for our vision, right? Because that's really what moves the needle. So when we have better energy navigation and management, awareness and understanding in tools, we can assist ourselves in not abandoning or ghosting goals or burning it all down when it isn't working, right? We're cultivating that personhood that's like, okay, I'm totally doubting this, but I'm going to trust it anyway, right? I'm not going to abandon this experiment before I actually have data that tells me whether it's working or not. I'm going to see it through. I'm going to follow it through. I'm going to stay committed. and continue to show up for my vision, right? So the solution here, the number one question to boost your mind-body connection, to boost this mapping process so that you can actually start to see how your energy physically translates into your body, which is just, the most dense layer of your energetic body, right, is your physicality. Seeing how, so boosting mind-body connection and your personal creation process overall, right? This question is basically when you, let me back up a little bit. So when you're in the heat of the moment, as we discussed, where you're like about to ghost on your goals, or you're about to burn it all down because you're in all the thoughts and feels about how it isn't working, or about how you're doing it wrong, that you've picked the wrong plan, you've picked the wrong strategy, you're on the wrong path, it's clearly not working out, right? Even though we don't actually have the data for that yet, because you're just in your feels about it, because you're losing sight of where you have agency and you're thinking that you can control the timeline, right? In those moments when you feel that kind of way, and it's a little different for everyone, and it's going to be different based on the situation and circumstance, but maybe it's, maybe it's kind of like a hopelessness, or maybe it's like a feeling of defeat, or maybe it's just the results aren't coming in as quick as you want, so you're feeling kind of unmotivated, right? In those feels, in the heat of that feel, you want to ask yourself, here's the question: how do I know, based on my body, my physical body, like how do I know that I'm feeling unmotivated? How do I know, based on my body right now, that I'm feeling hopeless or that I'm feeling defeated? How do I know based on my body? Okay, this is going to help us map how those thoughts and feels physically and literally translate into our body sensing and body language. So for just in this example with like unmotivated or hopelessness or defeat or something like that, this is going to be different for everyone. This is a really subjective experience, and the answers are going to be subjective as well. But like, maybe I'll just use myself as an example, unmotivated, right? So I'll ask myself, or I'll notice, right, in the heat of the moment where I'm like, I'm going to ghost on these goals. Like, this shit isn't working, right? Like, I'm feeling really unmotivated. Well, how do I know I'm feeling unmotivated? Well, I'm slouching, first of all. I feel really heavy in my body. Like, I have this weight on my shoulders, right? Some people I've asked them this and they have the total opposite experience. Like, they feel ungrounded. They might feel like light, like maybe kind of a hollowness, like they're untethered kind of thing, right? So it's, again, very subjective, going to be different for everyone. But, okay, so for me, it's like I feel heavy, like it's just heavy. I'm not, I'm closed in, my shoulders are slumped, I have all this pressure on my neck and my back. That's typically where I hold my stress and tension, right? Feeling really heavy, blah, 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 right? So we're just starting to map how the thoughts and feelings associated with unmotivation, with being unmotivated, or with hopelessness or defeat, or whatever the feeling is for you, are translating literally into the body, right? Because we know, and we've talked about this in the live series thus far, part of this energy management and part of cultivating this personhood is mindset. That's part of the equation, right? So when we're thinking unmotivated thoughts, we want to reframe them. We want to choose new thoughts, right? When we're feeling some kind of way, we don't want to get too contracted into that feeling. We want to create expansion and create space for both and, right? I can feel doubt. I can feel totally doubtful that this is possible, or that this is going to work, or that this dream or desire is meant for me, but I can choose to trust the process, right? I can choose a new thought. And that doesn't mean that the doubt fully goes away. It just means that I'm living in the space of the both and. I'm creating expansion, right? So we know these things, and we've talked about these things in the Creatrix live series thus far, but this is just another piece of seeing how the system all works, right? Because now we have tools for mindset reframing and choosing thoughts we want to think, and feeling feels we want to feel, right? Tools for creating expansion. We can also, use this awareness and this question to create tools and awareness for how we treat the physical off-gassing of our energy as well as it translates into our body. Does that make sense? Again, your body is your brain and your brain is your body. It's all connected. Your feels influence your thoughts, which influence your body sensing and language. Your body sensing and language influences your thoughts, which influences your emotions and your feels, right? We're starting to see how the whole thing is processing energy and how it's a whole system. So it's almost like we could say, oh, well, like your mindset is the problem. Like your mindset's the root issue that's causing these feels of unmotivation or like defeat or hopelessness or whatever. Just believe in yourself more, right? Like it's just your mindset. Just believe in yourself more, and it'll all work out. It's like, okay, but we can treat the root cause if it's mindset, right? We can treat that, but how can we also treat the symptoms, right? Treat the sort of surface experience as well, which would, in this example, would be like the body too, right? So we're treating the mindset, but we're also giving the body, the one that's literally sort of viscerally translating that energy into physicality, we're supporting that as well. What does my body need in this situation, right? Is this making sense? Again, you guys can comment, ask questions, DM me. I'm totally open for all of that, and it actually helps me facilitate discussion. So if you have questions, please feel free to DM and comment. So let me just check my notes real quick. Right, so how do I know in my body that I feel this way, that I feel unmotivated, or that I feel defeat, or that I feel hopelessness, right? Just as our examples today. Because when again, we have like, okay, I know I need to reframe my thoughts and choose thoughts that I want to think. I know I could do something right now for my emotions to create some joy or to create some peace or to create some expansion to some degree so that I'm not super contracted in just doubt or just fear, right? Because we all know we can feel multiple things. That's how complex we are, right? Bittersweet is the perfect example. I can feel so sad and so happy at the same time. And so that's kind of the both and expansion space we want to feel. It's not about getting from total fear to 100% trust. It's just moving trust 1 degree at a time as best we can so that we're in the expansive both and space and not in the contraction, right? And now today we're talking about how this maps into the body. How do I know that I feel that way? Because then I can actually support my body's sensing needs and helping shift that so that the system overall shifts and my energy processing is working in a way that feels good. Because what tends to happen without this kind of awareness is we're just stuck in that negative feedback loop of, okay, my thoughts are shitty right now and they don't feel good, so now I'm feeling some kind of way about it and I'm making myself wrong for it, and now I'm just further contracting into this deep dark hole that I'm digging myself into, and now I'm thinking worse thoughts and now I'm feeling worse feels, and it just becomes this negative feedback loop, right? So learning how to address mindset, also our feeling state, and how this energy, this sort of non-physical energy is literally translating into the body allows us to sort of break the negative feedback cycle and begin to sort of address all aspects of the system so that we can sort of holistically support ourselves and honor our humanity and honor the embodied experience, not just the sort of non-physical energy, but the literal translation of it in our very visceral embodied experience, right? So how do I know that I'm feeling that kind of way? Based on my body, how do I know? What are the senses, right? The heaviness or the hollowness or the whatever it is. And then once you start exploring and investigating that, it comes very easily. Like once I start to, like, because I'm in practice of this, right? This is a practice for me. Once I start to notice that I'm feeling heavy, right? When I ask myself this question, I'm like, oh, okay, my shoulders are carrying a lot of tension right now. Or, you know, my chest is collapsed. Okay, yeah, like that doesn't feel good. Like, so I'm already, as I'm just investigating and exploring and asking myself this, I'm already like, okay, well, let me just, give my back a crack and let me sit up straight, because already that feels better, even if just by 1 degree, right? Again, this isn't 0 to 100 of I'm totally perfect and fine now. It's all rainbows and butterflies. It's just giving ourselves the spaciousness to create some of that expansion. so that we're not contracting in that negative feedback loop, right? Again, this is to the best of your abilities with the resources you have, showing up to serve your humanity and yourself, because that's how you sustainably and consistently show up and serve your vision, right? So what I find is when we start, again, investigating and exploring these things and asking ourselves questions, our body kind of automatically responds with what it needs. When I'm feeling that kind of heavy, like density, I like to go dance. Some people, I've had people who I kind of described will feel that sort of hollow, kind of untethered, kind of ungroundedness. They're like, okay, well, I need to create some, my body needs some sort of solidity and some density, some grounding, right? So that I can process this mental, emotional energy and the literal translation of it, right? So that I can serve my whole system of consciousness and facilitate processing of energy that feels good, so that I'm not in that negative feedback loop. So there are ways that we can create some of that, again, that solidity and that density, or ways that we can create that levity and that expansiveness. There was a thought I just had that I lost. Oh, sometimes it's, sometimes we feel we know we're feeling some kind of way because it's a charge, like we're full up of something and we need release. The body needs release. So sometimes that's a good cry. Sometimes that's a good bitchy vent sesh with someone that you trust. Sometimes that's screaming into a pillow, or screaming out like in joy, right? Like this isn't even just this whole process that we're talking about today doesn't just translate to when we're feeling negative feels. I hate that word, like the undesirable feels, right? Mapping this can even translate into when you're feeling good and creating those mind-body connection and associations, so that when you're not feeling when you're not feeling the way you want to, you go, when I do this, when my body language does this, I know it creates happy thoughts and happy feels. So I know I can go take my body into that activity because it's associated with the way I want to think and the way I want to feel, right? So this is what I mean by mapping the whole system, how it's all working together, and how the non-physical energy actually translates into our very visceral embodied experience. Because I think for some of us, again, I don't know if this is just conditioning around spirituality and wellness, or if it's like Western white culture that has a history of suppressing emotion and sweeping things under the rug and just pretending everything's okay, or I'm not really sure where it comes from, but I don't think we historically have really honored our body's sensing needs, our needs to scream or to cry or to like be the thing that off gases and process energy, right? Like it literally is like, I don't even want to say the last stop because I see it as a cycle, but it's the densest, if you will, aspect of our energy body, and it deserves the same, like this is our humanity, and it deserves the same exact, or the same level of support and treatment that like our sort of emotional state and our mental state does, our mindset does, because it's all connected, right? Okay, so how do I know in my body that I feel that way? And that's really the main question. And I really believe that just asking that is going to start mapping the awareness for you. But then you can take it into, okay, so what does my body actually need to support my mind, body, emotional state overall, and the processing of that energy overall? How can I create expansion in the body? Because that is just going to influence deeper expansion in my mindset, where even if I'm feeling the doubt, I can choose to trust, right? Even when the undesirable thoughts are there, I can still choose to reframe and think the things I want to think, right? And how can I create expansion in the body? Because that too is going to facilitate and influence my emotional state, so that even if I'm feeling the fear, I can choose courage to the best of my ability with the resources I have. Even if it's only 1 degree, I'm then in that expanded both and state and not in the contraction, right? So you see what I mean? It's all connected. And this is a practice. And now this is why I find that the Embodied Creatrix program is so beneficial, is because this is the kind of stuff we do in group coaching calls. And whether it's you and I directly on the group coaching call having an interaction, or it's you watching someone else, you're seeing this kind of conversation and this self-inquiry and this investigation happen, and you're seeing it modeled. And so it just becomes that much easier for you to have these kinds of sort of self-leadership, kind of self-coaching questions with yourself, right? Because you're like 12 weeks of container, we're doing this over and over and over again. And so you're seeing it modeled, you're participating in it, and it's building that habit so that when, you know, you're outside of the container or the program's over, you've had those 90 days of practicing this kind of self-awareness and inquiry, and then follow up, you know, response with navigating and managing your energy accordingly, right? And so this is what we're doing in the program. We're committed to a goal. We're committed to a vision. We're committed to creating a life we love, and we understand that there's action steps involved. And so we're doing this kind of stuff for us so that we can consistently and sustainably show up and serve the vision and execute on our dreams in a way that feels good, in a way that supports our system holistically, and in ways that are sustainable, because we're cultivating and building these skills over time so that we can layer these skills over any kind of creation process, whether it's business or relationship or, you know, whatever, right? This is something, these are skills that are repeatable. And as you repeat them, you're only growing deeper awareness and knowledge of how your system works and how it is you need to manage and process and navigate your energy so that you can show up and do the big things you know you're meant to, and make the impact you're here for, right? And live in a way that feels good, that turns you on, that lights you up, right? So that's why the group coaching program is so valuable, because I can tell you all about it right here, and this is valuable, absolutely, but it really is the like being in it for a committed amount of time, like in the container and seeing it modeled over and over again, that is really, like, in my opinion, what anchors it all and integrates it all, right? It's that 90 days of like building the habit of doing this work over and over and over again. The other reason why that's so important is because everything that I talked about today, I kind of framed it in the like, when you're in the shit, like when you're in the heat of the moment and you are like, it's not working, everything's falling apart, I'm gonna burn it all down, I'm gonna ghost on my goals, I'm gonna self-abandon or self-sabotage. It's really hard to, in that emotional charge and in the heat of that moment and that inner experience, it can be really hard to remember these skills, right? To remember to ask these questions, to remember this awareness. So when you're practicing it over and over again in a daily way, and you're seeing it modeled, not just when it's in the heat of the moment, but it is, again, like I mentioned earlier, like just mapping and building that awareness skill so that even when you're feeling good, you're like, how do I know I'm feeling good? Oh, it's because my body's doing this, and it's because I'm feeling this way, and I'm having these physical sensations. Like that, again, that is helping us so that when we're feeling the undesirable way, we know, oh, if I go do this activity, or if I go, do this with my body, I'm going to be supporting the good feels that are associated with that body language and sensing, right? So just practicing this awareness on a regular basis as a practice, as a skill, it's creating a new level of baseline. It's creating a new baseline awareness and skill level set. Because in the heat of the moment, when shit's hitting the fan, when you're in the emotional charge, like, as much as we think we're just going to be magically amazing in those moments, we really do revert into like a baseline, into our baseline mode of operation. And so this is why building these habits as these practices and these skills over time is so important, because it's elevating our baseline. And that's the personhood cultivation process, right? So that when shit hits the fan, we're not reverting, into a deep, dark hole. We're reverting to our new baseline. And so this is kind of one of the things that, again, elevates our baseline. And that is another benefit of the whole 90-day program, right? Is we're working on that, elevating the baseline. So let's see, let me just check my notes. So again, I think the biggest thing I want to end with here is I just want to help you guys, or I just want to remind you guys that this isn't a 0 to 100. This is where people get tripped up when we do this stuff in the coaching calls and when I work with one-on-one clients, is they go, okay, well, I don't feel 100% like happy. And I'm like, that's okay. Right? This isn't a 0 to 100. This isn't black and white. You are a complex, nuanced, dynamic being. When asking yourself these questions, when working on mindset, when reframing your thoughts, when choosing the thoughts you want to think, when shifting your energy, when serving your emotions and your feeling state, when, choosing the feels you want to feel, and when addressing your body and your body language and building out this map of how your energy physically, literally translates, there is no perfection, there is no arrival. To the best of your ability with the resources you have, that's it. That's how you serve. That's how you show up. That's how you navigate and manage your energy in any given moment to the best of your ability with the resources you already have, right? You execute, you take action to the best of your abilities with the resources you have. It's like my mantra, and I feel like a broken record, but it's true. Because sometimes we're still waiting for that perfection or that arrival where it's all going to be rainbows and butterflies. And it's that bittersweet. All we want to do is remove the charge and the contraction to the best of our abilities with the resources we have, so that we can find a little bit of spaciousness, so that we can find a couple degrees of expansion, just so we're breaking that negative feedback loop that we talked about, where the thoughts are making the feels and the feels are translating to the body language, which is then influencing the thoughts and the feels, and it's just, we're digging ourselves into a deep dark hole, right? The little bit of spaciousness and the little bit of expansion is just breaking that cycle and introducing some new potential, right? Some new possibility, right? I can feel the doubt and choose trust, right? Just like bittersweet. I can feel so sad and so happy at the same time. And that's a good spot to be. That's the both and, right? That's the both and space that we want to be in. I can feel the fear and have courage, right? That's all it is. To the best of our abilities, with the resources we have, creating that degree of spaciousness and expansion so that we're not in the negative feedback loop. And that's how we break the negative feedback loop cycle, right? Again, we have tools. We've talked about tools for addressing our mindset, reframing our thoughts. We've talked about tools for feeling the feels we want to feel, right? And now we have some awareness tools for addressing our body's needs. Do I need to like move some energy out? Do I need to scream? Do I need to cry? Do I need to dance? Do I need to just like take a couple breaths with my shoulders rolled back? Do I need to do a couple hip circles to move some energy? Maybe I stretch, like whatever it is. It literally, it's endless possibility. And by doing this, you'll find out what works for your body. I'm a swayer. This is like how I come back into my body and like process and move energy, right? Like you'll find what your unique things are, but this is how you start. This is the process. This is the question that is going to boost your mind-body connection, your mapping process, your ability to see yourself as a system that processes energy on super non-physical, non-tangible, and very visceral, tangible levels as a soul embodied. And overall, it's going to boost your personal creation, manifestation processes, right? So that you can show up consistently and sustainably for your desires and dreams and create a life you love and serve your vision so that you can make the impact you know you're here to make and do the big things you know you're here for, all right? So this is what I have for you guys today. This was way longer than I thought it would be. Please share this with a friend who needs to hear it. If you know someone who is maybe that like goal ghoster, like abandoner, or burns things down to the ground, that would really benefit from this sort of process and systems lens of seeing ourselves and learning how to manage and sort of navigate energy, where our, understanding where our agency lies, because it isn't the timing or the outcome, right? That's how we co-create with the universe, is we sort of surrender that piece and we keep our focus on where it is we have agency and control, which is this piece. If you have a friend that needs to hear this, please share it with them, get them resourced, and I guess your homework, you guys, is just to start asking yourself this question. How do I know that I feel this way in my body? What's happening in my body? And so what does my body need to continue processing this energy instead of holding on to it? Do I release? Do I move, like shift? What do I do, right? Because that's going to support me in reframing my thoughts, and that's going to support me in creating feels and emotions that feel better than the contraction, right? So start asking yourself this question, again, not just in the heat of the moment when shit's hitting the fan, but just in your regular experience. How do I know that I'm feeling at peace right now? Start mapping the associations of what peaceful thoughts and feels, how that energy translates into your physical body. Oh, I'm relaxed, I'm loose, I'm at ease, right? Mapping these things, okay? So that's your homework. Start asking, start mapping, start building that sort of awareness skill. And remember that, again, this is obviously a giveaway, so share this IGTV video, share it to your stories, share it to Facebook. Go check out the Creatrix stories highlight on my IG profile, because that's where the actual giveaway guidelines are. You could win a free spot into the program through shares, and or you can just book a free call with me, get yourself served, get yourself resourced. And on that free call, I will give you a coupon code for $100 off of the full program, whether you buy the program or not. But I mean, if you're on the fence and you're thinking about it, book a call ASAP, because that way you can get the coupon code and buy before August 15th and get a double discount, because August 15th is when the early bird pricing ends. And in case I haven't mentioned it before, you guys, I have several different payment plans because I want to make it easy for you if this is something that you want. I want to make it easy for you to have access and to get yourself served and resourced. So check out the payment plans, all right? So that is what I have for you guys today. I will see you on Thursday. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. Mwah, 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 mwah.